All right. I've had a lot of people tell me that I should just make a raw video of what's happened in my life and what's going on and where I'm at. It's kind of a wild story. Okay, so let's start off in my teens. I had a normal childhood. My parents were pretty cool. They were always like our best friends more than they were a real parent, a lot of times. I mean, my dad always played with us, took us on awesome, cool vacations we probably couldn't afford. Did a lot of fun stuff with us, was always there for us when we had like a pool and everything else. He would get home from work after a long, long day climbing poles in the Oklahoma heat, and he would get in the pool with us and swim with us and throw us around. My mom was a very nice stay-at-home mom. She also did hair. All that I can remember, she went to school for, I guess, I don't know, hairology, cosmetics, whatever. So let's fast forward. I'm in my teens. We moved out to a really cool private lake called Lake Lotawana, where a lot of people spent their days partying and hanging out on boats and floating over to Goat Hill, docking up boat to boat for as long as you could see and party all the time. That house was known for our party house. All of us kids grew up in our teen years there, and we had a lot of parties with and without mom and dad. Where, drinking was brought into my life very early. So, long story short, let's fast forward 5 or 10 years. I'm in my late 20s or early 20s. I have moved in with my sister and brother-in-law and other friends in a house on Lotawana, and where we really drank our life away. Like, we partied every other weekend. Everybody was broke. I mean, we always used to say, if there was a camera in that house, it was like watching the real world. There was so much funny crap that happened. I mean, so many good memories, so many bad memories, so many fun memories. Going out on the ice, building giant letters and stuff that would say like "Go Bears" during the Super Bowl one years, or "Da Bears," and people would holler out their back porch at us. It was a blast. We had a great time at that house. Where everybody else was able to control their drinking and their emotions and things like that, I struggled with that strongly, and I can admit that now. Shortly after that, I was given the opportunity to work for a resort on the other side of the world on an island called Saipan. Near it's in the chain of islands with Guam and the Commonwealth Northern Mariana Islands. Long story short, I worked for a resort where I was basically paid to party with guests and hang out with them all the time, take them on scuba adventures, go out to the resorts with them, party with them. It was a great time. I loved it there. It was the time of my life, but I literally began my alcoholism there, where I abused alcohol on a daily basis and no one cared. It was not frowned upon at all. Anyhow, as life moves on, I was only there for 6 months and of course got caught drinking a beer in a lifeguard stand and lost that job. Got sent back home. Lied to my family and friends about it and how I chose to come home. I was very ashamed of myself for it, but the drinking had started to get out of control. I was living with my sister and family and friends at the time. Now, we all smoked weed and everything else, and we were all a bunch of partiers. And we weren't really partying at that time. Everybody was really trying to get their shit together. And shortly thereafter, I got married very quickly to a woman I probably should have thought more about that. And I wanted to change. I wanted to get off alcohol. But when I moved down there was only friends that drank. We were out in the middle of the woods in middle of nowhere in lower Missouri. Long story short of it, my alcoholism ramped up. A few years later, we had to move back to Kansas City to stay with her parents because we could not manage ourselves financially. Little did we know, in a short time, we would be pregnant with twins. Now, at that time, I had kind of wanted a divorce. Things were not working out. But we had twins, so we stayed together for the kids, in my opinion. As time went on, drinking got worse and worse and led to other things. Long story short of it, it caused our divorce and a separation of me seeing my children daily because of my own drinking spiraling out of control. But I did land a decent job for FedEx trucking, and I was all the time, working every hour I could for that company. I spent 12 to 14-hour days for like a year and a half and climbed my way up. Long story short, I got a DUI one night after hanging out with a girl after work. That led to a downward spiral of events where my life would basically collapse beneath me in the next year or so. taking down someone that I met that I, basically fell in love with and gave my heart to, and was vowing to change who I was, but still lying behind her back drinking. She's always been there for me to this day, always takes care of me. Has had my back through thick and thin, whether I want to admit it or not. As my drinking spiraled out of control, I found myself grasping for anything that I could to change my life, and then she was pregnant, and I could not stop drinking. And I finally told her, listen, I've got to go away and get rid of this, because if I don't, I'm not going to be any good to him. I'm going to drink myself into the grave. I was that bad. I was drinking like a half gallon a day. Now, I don't mean like, most people are like, oh, I drink like 12 beers a day, I'm an alcoholic, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was drinking like a half gallon a day of straight vodka. And I was hiding it in places so that no one would find out. Like, I had a bottle in the sewer main out front of our apartment. My life was out of control, that bad. So I went off to a place called Faith Farm. Before all of that, I got in a really nasty accident traveling across the state of Virginia with everything that my son owned. He wasn't even born yet. I had lost control of my drinking again after a program I went to in Cincinnati after I left her. I didn't know what to do. At that point in time, I'd hit an all-time low. I didn't have my things. I didn't even have my son's things. They were in a rolled over vehicle in an impound yard that would not let us have them back. Not without a large, substantial amount of money, and I only had like $80 in my pocket. I didn't know what I was going to do. I was stranded. My friends were trying to help me, but I was stuck in the middle of Virginia, far from a liquor store, with no car now, immobilized, $80 in my pocket, and hospital clothes. I didn't even have my son's belongings. That's a low. And I was only waiting to go to jail because my blood alcohol content was 0.418. As I sat alone in that trailer for 3 months, avoiding court and avoiding the imminent jail time, hoping that I would be able to be out of jail when she at least had our son, who now I had the chance to have him have my last name, and his life could have been, a lot more important than what I did. But I chose to drink one more time. And this was on Mother's Day because I was so depressed and I was crying for attention. I was out in the woods by myself. I can't deny that. Long story short of it, I went to jail for 20 days and I was only released to Faith Farm in Boynton Beach, Florida. That's where my life hit rock bottom, and I was there. But God has perfect timing. He really does. So here's what happened. That's where I started to turn my life around. I started to get a lot more upbeat. Started to meet other people that were just like me. Most of them not alcoholics. Most of them in there for some other sort of drug. Drug relations or corrections sent them there to do that instead of jail. It's a very serious place. However, what was more serious in that place was the brotherhood of men. All the guys there lifted each other up. We treated each other with respect and love, no matter where you came from, what your background was. I don't care who you were. And we all lifted each other up, and that really helped. I met a counselor there named Paul Zielinski, who was really cool. He talked me through a lot of good stuff. He brought stuff out of me that I thought I never would talk about to anybody else. He helped me get through that time there. And there were certain other teachers in there, like Kobe Gentry and some other guys, that really made it a whole different experience than some of the guys were having. I followed the program. I did the right things. I did what I had to do to get through there. And 11 months later, I graduated. I actually graduated with what they would consider honors and got to go on to the stage 2 of the program. So I've now been in rehab for 11 months, only seen my son once when she drove down to see me because she was threatened by a hurricane where she was living. And I was actually alcohol free. And I felt like I did $1 million. I felt fantastic. I had been running 3 to 4 miles a day. And during that time of running, there was one point where, I would run off alcohol. Like once I had an urge, I would just run until there was no more urge, until I literally did not want to drink anymore or even see a liquor bottle. I even hated hand sanitizer. It was terrible. Anyway, moving forward. So I got these 5 words in my head one day. It was a really crazy run that I was on. I was jogging in like torrential rain because I had told these guys that I was with, my brothers at the time, I will jog in anything. I don't care what it is. Man, I'm from Missouri. It snows heavily out there, and I still jog in that. I can jog in these rains. So one day, it's literally a tropical storm while I'm running, and I knew I shouldn't have gone running, but I want to show it to the guys. We're all men. There's testosterone everywhere. You got to show them, hey, I told you all I would run in the rain. I'll run in a tropical storm. So I've been running. Lightning's crashing everywhere, 70-mile-an-hour winds, torrential rains, ankle deep. And I had ran my 4 miles, and I was coming in to the end of it, and I couldn't make it, man. I was splashing water everywhere. Everything was holding me back. And I got these 5 words in my mind about what I needed to do to continue on the rest of my life, to keep fighting, to keep that energy inside of me. And it was dedication, devotion, faith, patience, and perseverance. Those 5 words have got me through a lot. Now let's fast forward again. Let's go back to where we were at. Sorry. Chase Bundy's ADHD. So the thing is, I got into the secondary program where you got an apartment. It was $200 a month. There were stipulations. You had to get a job in the first 30 days. You had to get a mode of transportation in the first 30 days, whether it be the bus or a moped. I opted for moped. I rode the bus a few times. That's some sketch stuff in Dade County. I'm not kidding. This place was right in Fort Lauderdale, on the heart of it. It was not in a good area. There was people on Suboxone everywhere. I mean, it was bad. A lot of narcotics going around. Anyhow, they still drug tested you and everything living in this apartment, but I got my life together. I was still running all the time. I was going to the beach and running all the time. I was working for a great family-owned company that took me on, knowing everything that was going on in my life, and really put a lot of faith in me. It gave me a lot of trust and a lot of stuff to do. I was working in the shipping and receiving department. I was working out. I was getting in shape, really in shape, best shape of my life. And I was 33 at the time, and that was the best shape of my life. Out of nowhere, on a jog, I was going for a jog, and it was like a Sunday, I can't remember. And anyhow, I was going out for a jog, and it just felt different. I had taken my, water and everything else, and I got over to the park about a quarter mile down in Fort Lauderdale. It was a beautiful park. That was, 3 miles of running I could do right out during the day, where you got to watch for alligators, but it's a great run. It's fun. There's beautiful palm trees everywhere. There's a lot of people out running, people to talk to, people to run with. Anyhow, within a few minutes, there were these ladies handing out water bottles, and I went to go get one. And I was talking to her, and I started to notice my left arm was like just doing this, flapping out of control. I couldn't stop it. And I mean, it just kept going. So much so that I was using my right arm to hold my left arm down as I'm walking back towards my apartment, shaking out of control. I didn't know what was going on, right? So I was like, all right, I'm just going to go back to the apartment complex and chill. And that was the last thing that I remember until I woke up in an ambulance. They had found me in the middle of the courtyard right in front of my apartment, where I fell on my face, collapsed, and had a seizure. Now, luckily, the ambulance was there stat, so I didn't get to a grand mal seizure. I was given the medication I needed to calm down. Lo and behold, as I'm sitting there on an operating table, I had these blurs of memory that I don't really remember what was going on. I just remember waking up on an operating table in a gown, and they're like, Mr. Arches, we're putting you through a machine. We're going to check, your brain and look at all this stuff. And I was like, what? I thought I just had a heat injury or something. I passed out of heat exhaustion, right? That's what happened. I'm pretty sure. And they were like, no. You've got something else going on. We think it's brain cancer. And I said, no, there's no way, man. I'm a healthy male. I run 4 miles a day. I eat vegetables and everything else. There's no way. You've got the wrong guy. Turns out I had 35, and they stopped counting at 35, tumors surrounding my entire brain out of nowhere that were developed only in the last 18 months. I was told I had brain cancer, stage 4, and they didn't know what type, but they thought it was a lymphoma, that I would have about 18 months to live, and they had told me all this stuff. And I was by myself because all of my family was in Kansas City. I had no one down there. No one had been helping me or anything. We just keep contact. So out of nowhere, I blacked out again. And when I woke up, I remember there was a really nice Jamaican guy next to me. He was really funny. And he's like, hey, brother, you're back with us. Your brain's still swelling. We need you to take this medication. So I'm literally drinking narcotics. Morphine came in a shot glass. I've never seen that. And that didn't look right to me, especially since I was an alcoholic. but I had to drink it. I was in horrible pain, and then I would black back out, and I would wake up, and I remember telling this guy, hey, I need to call my mom and my sister. I need to call somebody in Kansas City. And he would tell me, you've already done that. We've already been over this twice. Just lay back and relax. They'll be here as soon as they can. And then I woke up again to the voices of my sister and my mom running into the hospital room, and it was insane. So from there on, I kept uttering these words in my head. Instead of crying, instead of freaking out, I waited for 5 days on the biopsy results. And it comes out that I didn't have the lymphoma side of cancer. I have a very, very unique, rare testicle cancer. But it's not in my testicles. It's actually in my head, which is kind of funny if you think about it. And that little hole they had to drill to do the biopsy, it was not the size of a BB. That thing came out like, it looked like I'd been bitten by a shark in the head. I've got a crater to prove it. I don't really have the time, but there's a giant crater back here where they said it would be like a drill hole. I got screwed on that one. But those 5 words I would say to myself in there, dedication, devotion, faith, patience, and perseverance, got me through a lot. But little did I know I was only on like the start of what would really happen. So after 14 years of alcoholism, 18 months of sobriety under my belt, brain cancer. I'm telling you, I am a cockroach. God has me here for a reason. I don't really know what it is, but I'm here for a reason, right? I gotta have a good attitude about it. I take every day as if it's my last. I really do. I try and live it to the fullest, enjoy it the most, because I don't know what could happen tomorrow. It's an aggressive cancer that they have no sign of cure for and hardly any research done on it ever, because there's only a few cases in the world, and I'm the first one of my type of cases with mixed germ cell germinoma. So I gotta just stick it out. Anyhow, dedication, devotion, faith, patience, perseverance have really helped me get by. And I just try and think to myself, all right, am I applying each one of those words today? Am I dedicated to what I'm doing? Am I devoted to what I'm doing? Do I have the patience to get through this? Do I have the perseverance? And if you're wondering why I didn't say faith, faith is at the center of those 5 words for a reason. Without faith, I don't think any of this would have been possible. And I mean, that's where I'm at. But I'm here, I'm alive, I live every day to its fullest. I joke around a lot. I'm never serious. I'm the most sarcastic person you ever meet in your life. Anybody has any questions, holler at me. But if I can do it, if I can find hope and still keep going every day, I mean, I got up to like 240 pounds on medications. I was strapped to a table once by 3 very young, very beautiful girls by my face, while my chubby butt from medication laid on the glass table, strapped down by my face due to this radiation stuff I was going through, just like this, extremely tight. Then they drew blue lines all over me, right? And then they started taking pictures. And I'm sitting there like, what in the hell is going on? And they're like, listen, you have to stay in the same spot every single time, or the radiation might not go in your spine. It could go into like your spleen or something. You're going to die instantly. So this is pretty serious. And I was like, y'all are into some 50 grades of what is going on? You're taking pictures of this. And anyway, I had to walk back out to that lobby that time for my appointment. I had to walk back out there and look my mom in the face, and she goes, what happened in there? I don't want to talk about it. But I did. And then when we got to the hotel later that night, we booked this certain hotel so that we could get a hot tub. We wanted a hot tub. Like, man, I was in pain. I walked down there to go get in, and I forget. I've got crosshairs drawn all over my body on different areas that they were using to graph exactly where I was at in that room. And the people looked at me and were like, I was like, I'm going in for cancer treatment. This is just to help them align where I'm at in the room, you know? And the guys were like, oh, okay, well, I'm a U.S. Marine. This big dude with this lovely gal he was with. And anyhow, he looks at me and goes, I'm a Marine. If you fall in this hot tub and you croak out, I got you. Don't even worry about it. I got you. I'm like, I don't think I will. And I'm still here. But good to know you got my back. I'll be here every night. Anyway, it was a good time. I made it through hell. 6 weeks of that, hour and a half at a time. 6 days a week. It was hell. Anyhow, so fast forward, let's go 9 months or so. Bleomycin, idurtopside, and cisplatin. are the chemicals that I'm given, my chemo cocktail, to fix everything. So they say. Well, now I did get rid of like 33 of the tumors, and I only have like 3 left. So I mean, there's that. But it gave me neuropathy of the hands. Can't feel anything. You just numb. I can burn them, touch them, whatever. Literally, it feels like you've sat on your hand, it fell asleep, and now you're just doing shit throughout your day. That's what I do. And then my feet is the worst part. So my feet are much worse than my hands. It goes up to about halfway through my calf. No joke. I can't feel any of that. It's just numb. It's like my feet fell asleep for life, but never waking back up. Longest dream you've ever seen, because it is every day. I have to live with that. So I go through a lot of pain. I go through a lot of different feelings. It's crazy. And it damaged my brain in parts. So I used to smoke a lot of marijuana. I had a real bad short-term memory to begin with. Let's be honest. Now I'm brain damaged. So now stuff's just really array. Which, God bless the person to live with heart, because she puts up with it night and day. I just told you to do that. What are you talking about? I don't remember that at all. Oh my God, Jared. I'm used to hearing that a lot. Anyway, either way, she's still here making sure I don't die. And it still has my back through everything else. I'm finally getting to be a father to my children, not a drunk, out of control person that I was to my little girls that were with my ex-wife. But I can't dwell on the past. All I can do is be a better man every day that I'm here. And that's what I try and do. Live every day like it's your last, because you never know when it's going to be. We all die sometime. But honestly, just keep your head up. That's what I do, man. If I can make it through all this crap and get back down to 190 pounds, breathe pretty decent, as you can see. I'm not really doing anything physical right now, but I only got 55% of my lungs left from bleomycin, pulmonary toxicity, cisplatin, damaged all my nerves. So I've got neuropathy. Been through a couple blood clots in my lungs. Been through pneumomoniasinum. Been through a lot of crap, but I'm here. I'm not giving up. Don't give up, ever. We're much stronger than that. I've met a lot of guys, even through my treatments when I was going through a place called the Hope House in St. Louis. It's not a great place to find yourself. Amongst a lot of other people with lymphoma cancers and things like that, I was probably the best looking one out of the bunch. I met a lot of good guys there. Spent a lot of fun nights there. I since I was still in pretty decent shape, and I love cooking, it's my passion, I cooked meals for these guys probably 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week. Some of those men, I would find out later that, after I left the Hope House, they died, and they had families and kids, and their wives were there, and we had so much fun. We really all enjoyed each other. We played games, we laughed, we ate some delicious food. And I'm still in contact with a lot of those widows that are good friends of mine, great people. But I also went through a lot of times in Faith Farm where I watched a lot of friends die. Probably 5, 6 different guys that I knew, shook hands with, heard their story about, learned about their girls' soccer games, learned about their kids' football leagues, stuff like that. I mean, I was with these guys for months on end, only to find out they'd left early, quit the program, didn't make it, gave up. They were dead. And I can honestly tell you, if I hadn't found Faith Farm when I did, I would have drank myself to death being diagnosed with cancer. I'm positive of that, 100%. Not a doubt in my mind. But I also wouldn't be there if it weren't for a certain person I live with. Always having my back. Always, forcing me to do better than I want to do. Anyhow, that's my story so far. There's a lot more to go, and there's a lot of little funny stories in between. If anybody has any questions or want to hear some funny stories about random stuff that happened, whether it's in my teens, whether it's in my 20s, whether it was working for the resort that I worked for, whether it was for funny cancer stories about random crap that can happen to you, like falling over, tripping over anything and everything. If somebody shuts off the lights, yes, I lose my balance like a drunk person. It's pretty embarrassing. My balance still to this day isn't fantastic. I used to have fantastic balance. I could wakeboard, I could surf, water ski, barefoot, snowboard, snow ski, you name it. I love balance sports. That's my go-to. I can still drive like a champion. I love to drive. That's like my favorite thing. It's my passion too. Anyhow, you guys want any funny stories, hit me up, man. I'm here. Upright and breathing. See y'all later.